Order now!
Isang Coke. This afternoon sa kantin, lumapit ang crush mo. Eh sa sobrang pagod mo, di mo napansin. Sayang. Buti na lang may Coca-Cola. Kaya mag-recharge with a Coke every afternoon. Feel the chill to get going.
Taste that feeling.
Check sa Palmolive, check ang hair ko all day long, lasting bango. Check sa Palmolive, check ang hair ko, I can go all the way, confident na ako. Check na check, bangong Palmolive. Check na check, bangong Palmolive. Anywhere I go, pansin na pansin, basta Palmolive natural hair ko. Check na check.
Have a great hair day.
Alam natin ang feeling na yan. Yung sobrang init, pati ulo mo umiinit. Eh ang gusto mo lang naman ay mag-chill. Bigat sa feeling ng init na yan. Pero okay lang. Dahil easy na lang mag-cool down with the #1 lemon and lime refreshment, Sprite. O diba? Ganun lang kasimple. Mainit? Cool ka lang with Sprite.
Lahat sa sinuting sarap ay uubusin. Sarap ng Cheetos, Cheetos liquid finger. Simot sarap, Cheetos. Ano pang hinihintay nyo? Bili na!
Honor student since grade 7. Also a math competition winner.
No need to ask whether we would accept Laika or not. The important question is, does Laika want to study here?
What's your name?
I'm Laika.
Chicago, second year to A room 309.
Yeah.
MCAP, section 2A. Ang taong inagawan mo na scholarship dito.
You may start the exam now.
But I still don't get it.
I'm so disappointed in you. Actually, I could expel you right now.
Follow me, McKeon Panting. Follow me, จะพาเธอหนีไปไหนก็ไป Follow me
This is how the world works. This is the way the system is.
Follow me ทุกที่ขอบโลกแสนไกลจะพาเธอข้ามไป
Good evening, everyone. This is Gupran, and we will be talking about creating ads, strategy, and process. The world of advertising is ever evolving, with the strategies and techniques used to promote products and services constantly changing. In order to stand out in a crowded marketplace, advertisers must develop creative beliefs and message strategies that effectively communicate with their brand message to consumers. This report will examine how advertising strategies are used to develop such briefs and messages, exploring the characteristics of great campaigns and the nature of creativity. Additionally, this report will discuss the role of the agency creative team and the importance of research as the foundation for creative development planning. Beyond advertising, this report will also touch on the success of retail giant Walmart, whose relentlessly focus on low prices and word selection has made it to the largest public company in the world, and the ongoing challenge faced by its competitors to find the right strategy for success.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Sisoyso and we'll discuss regarding to some compete with respective Walmart by focusing on a single product, several categories such as clothes, electronics, pet supplies, or toys, and offering a broader selection within that category. An even riskier strategy is going to head-to-head as Smart Shoes, Montgomery Ward, and others have learned the hard way. But standing tall among the scattered ruins of Walmart's direct competitors is one company that has found a way to prosper: Target. At Target origins to 1962, when the Dayton companies opened the first store in the Minneapolis suburb. Today, the company operates nearly 1,700 stores throughout the United States and is fifth in overall revenue among U.S. retailers. Not bad for an organization whose greatest expansion occurred during the same years that Walmart became a global leader.
Why has Target succeeded where other retail giants have not? In part by being one of the greatest practitioners of positioning. The learning objectives. After studying this chapter, you will be able to identify the members of the creative team and their primary responsibilities. Next, describe the characteristics of great advertising. Explain the role of the creative strategy and its The learning objectives. After studying this chapter, you will be able to first identify the members of the creative team and their primary responsibilities. Second, describe the characteristics of great advertising. Third, explain the role of the creative strategy and its principal elements. Fourth, show how advertising enhances creativity. And last, define the 4 roles people play at different stages of the creative process.
Number 7, the slogan says it all. You save money at Target compared to many retailers, and you'll have more fun shopping compared to Walmart. The promise of a better shopping experience to expect more part of the equation has been the key. As retailer trade journalist Jeff Arlin asked, without Andy Warhol, could Target stores exist as it today? Had CEO Bob Ulrich and his team of retailing alchemists learned the secret of turning the mundane into the sublime? Number 8. Start with the merchandise. Lots of the things you find at Target you can find at Walmart as well. But Target display them with more style and space, and some things you can get at Walmart or anywhere else in-house line like Loveworks, Sutano, Blue, Room 365, and 2 by Blue Dot 3.
Then there is the red, lots of red. As Michael Francis, Senior Vice President of Marketing at the retailer, notes that trust us, red does go with everything. The strategy at Target is to own red, that is, have the consumer associate the color with the brand. 10 is one way to communicate that Target owns red is through its retail stores. but the color plays a prominent role in target advertising as well and helps tie the many executions together. Target spends nearly 4 times as much on its advertising as a percentage of sales than does Walmart. Its ads are fun and quirky, in direct contrast to Walmart's more conservative approach.
Target's ads are also softer, focusing on lifestyle themes that suggest ways that products sold at Target that help the shopper have a better and more fun life.
Hi, my name is Channeling Miss Lang, presenting the creative team originators of advertising creativity. Every great ad campaign starts with human imagination. In most ad agencies, the people who first conceptualize the symbols, words, and images are the members of the creative team. The team's copywriter develops the verbal message, the copy words within the ad. The copywriter typically works with an art director who is responsible for the nonverbal aspect of the message, the design, which determines the look and feel of the ad. Together, they work under the supervision of a creative director, typically a former copywriter or art director, who is ultimately responsible for the creative product. To form the final ad takes, as a group, the people who work in the creative department are generally referred to as creatives regardless of their specialty. So copywriter means person who creates the words and concepts for ads and commercials. Art director means along with graphic designers and production artists determines how the ad's verbal and visual symbols will fit together. Creative director heads up a creative team of agency, copywriters, and artists who is assigned to a client's business and who is ultimately responsible for the creative product that form the product ad takes. Creatives, the people who work in the creative department regardless of the specialty. So, this chapter focuses on the creative process, how it's developed, and how it relates to a company's marketing and advertising strategy. But to get a proper perspective on creativity, we need to understand the characteristic of great advertising.
LOA2 describes the characteristics of great advertising. What you expect for this second topic. Here's my content outline. 1. Creating great advertising. 2. Information and transformational ads. 3. The resonance dimension. 4. The relevance dimension. And 5. Check yourself. This study determined the person's skills and ability to innovate an impressive advertising to a particular target audience. The question is, what does someone mean when they say an ad is great? What would your definition be? According to a source, great ads have certain things in common: audience resonance and strategic relevance. What does that mean? Information ads tends to address negatively originated purchase motives such as problem removal or avoidance in attempt to provide solutions to those problems, while transformational ads tend to address positively originated purchase motives such as sensory gratification, intellectual stimulation, or social approval in attempt to make people feel happier. What do you think about this presenting ads feature? Kindly observe this according to your judgment. It determines that one way Target communicates that it offers an extraordinary shopping experience is through the use of extraordinary ads that successfully capture the attention of its consumers. These ads showcase the effective use of color to hook audiences. The resonance dimension. Why do boom factor have impact on resonance dimension? It's because to resonate means to echo, reverberate, or vibrate. It also means to boom, ring, or chime. And that's what a great ad does with the audience. It echoes in their ears, it reverberates, it resonates. It moves people and makes the message unforgettable. When a cannon goes boom, it gets your attention immediately. The same is true with an ad. It's the surprise element, the aha or the wow. But in advertising, it not only gets your attention, it captures your imagination. In this sense, it's like great art. It invites you to pause and think about the message. Like for this sample, look at the target ads. Target ads are quirky and creative, but the non-verbal elements of the red and white colors and repetition of the target logo make them instantly recognizable and they resonate with consumers. They are unusual, so we stop to examine them more closely, and as we do so, the colors and the familiar logo convey exactly where we can find things we like. In an environment that is contemporary, upscale, clean, and fun, the ads resonates, but other ads may resonate for different reasons. This resonates with the audience by being highly informational resonate because the consumer perceives that the brand offers a credible solution to a significant problem. Like Uber's Get There, The Day Belongs to You, or Slack's Be Less Busy. Other motives are positively originated as consumers seek pleasant experiences, intellectual stimulation, or social approval. Here ads may achieve greatness by being transformational, using positive reinforcement to offer rewards such as TED Ideas word spreading or Weight Watchers success starts here. Unfortunately, most ads, whether they are informational or transformational, fail to resonate with the audience. Why? Because they lack a big idea, or they fall down in the execution. The copy may be uninspiring, the visual may be less than attractive, or the production techniques used may be low quality. From the consumer's point of view, these ads are a waste of time. And from the client's point of view, a waste of money. In fact, for them, the greatness of the advertising is in the bang per buck. Great ads give sponsors much more advertising effectiveness per dollar spent. The next topic is all about the relevant dimension. The second dimension of great advertising is strategic relevance. We don't make brand famous, we make brand popular. There's no greater goal for us than to take each of our clients' brands and put them in a position of popularity by making them a part of the fabric of real people's lives. We create work that is inclusive and bold and appeals to the mass market. We want to create work that a brand can grow into that will appeal to more than just the immediate target audience. That's what we're about, and that's we will always focus on. While the text and the visual carry the ad message, behind the creative team choice of tone, words, and ideas lies an advertising strategy. When the ad is completed, it must be relevant to the sponsor's strategy or it will fail even if it resonates with the audience. In other words, it may be great entertainment but not great advertising. Great advertising always has a strategic mission to fulfill. In fact, strategy is at the root of all great creative work. Check yourself. 1. What that is mean for advertising to resonate. What causes an ad to resonate. 2. In addition to resonance, what other dimension is important for advertising greatness?
Hi, I'm Elaine Soraan presenting the Formulating Creative Strategy, the key to great advertising. First, what is a creative strategy? It is a written statement that serves as the creative team's guide for writing and producing an ad. It decides the most important issues that should be considered in the development of the ad. The who, what, where, when, and why, including the objective of the advertising. It is also a definition and description of the target audience and the key benefit to be promised. Also, it is the product features that support that promise, the style, approach, or tone to be used, and generally, what the copy should communicate. Recall from Chapter 7, the purpose of the advertising objective is to state what the advertiser wants to achieve with respect to consumer awareness, attitude, and preference. Advertising strategy then describes a means to achieve that objective through the development of advertising executions and media plans. The creative strategy is the component of the advertising strategy that guides those who create ads. To be sure that everyone has the same understanding of the task at hand, and account managers or larger agencies develop a brief statement summarizing the agreed upon objectives and strategies. Many individuals from both the client and agency, including the representatives from creative, media, and research, should have input into this document. The agency and client team should sign off on the finished document before the creative process commences. This creative strategy serves as the creative team's guide for writing and producing the advertising. In some agencies, in this document may be referred to as a creative brief, a work plan, a copy strategy, or a copy platform. In writing the creative strategy, regardless of the name, the creative strategy is a simple written statement of the most important issues to consider in the development of an ad or campaign. It usually includes the following elements. First is the basic problem advertising must address. Second is the advertising must be objective. Third is a definition of the target audience. Next is the key benefits to communicate, the support for or proof of those benefits, and the brand's personality, and lastly, the any special requirements. So what problem that advertising must do? It is what you want the advertising to do, the specific challenge that marketing communication must overcome to meet the marketing objectives. Now, what is advertising objective in writing a creative strategy? It is a specific communication task an advertising campaign should accomplish for a specific target audience. But what is a target audience? It is the specific group of individuals to whom the advertising message is directed. Now let's look at the creative strategy, target, and its agencies developed. We'll then see how they translated that into a message strategy and a big idea, and finally into effective ads. What is the problem the advertising must solve? Consumers may not be aware that they will save money and enjoy shopping at Target. Consumers may also be unaware of the unique products that can be found only at Target. This information often comes straight from the marketing plan situation analysis. What is the objective of the advertising? Target wants consumers to know that it has a higher quality offerings and a more attractive shopping environment than its competitors. The advertising objective is initially spelled out in the marketing plan. What is Target's target audience? Target focuses on value-conscious shoppers, usually adults ages 25 to 49 with families, who seek products that are nicer than those typically found at deep discount stores. These shoppers are not poor, but they do look to save money, or the Target reports than the median household income of its shoppers or guests, as the company calls them. This group is Target's primary market, that's who the company sells to. So Target definitely wants to see them advertised. Because Target offers both value and style, 18 to 25 years old are another important market. While this group as a whole may not spend as much as the primary market, they act as a center of influence or key influentials. This group is a secondary target audience for the advertising. What is Target's key benefit? This is summarized nicely in the company's slogan, expect more, pay less. In other words, expect a nicer shopping experience and still save money. The benefit statement is the heart of the creative strategy. It is very important to make it as succinct and single-minded as possible. Complex benefit statements can lead to creative executions that promise everything focus on nothing. How is that benefit supported? Target's ads rarely focus on price information, a contrast with the hard sell approach that Walmart favors. The expect more part of the equation is supported with beautiful, stylish, and unexpected ad executions, as many of the featured ads in this chapter demonstrate. The support statement should provide information about the product or service that will convince the target audience that the key benefit is true. What is the brand personality? Target's brand is quality, sophistication, beauty, and value. The creative team will frequently remind themselves of this as they develop the message strategy. Are there any special requirements? Target allocates ad dollars to television ads, out-of-home magazines, and newspaper inserts. It has different audience objectives for each medium, but certain creative elements such as the color red and the large bullseye logo tie all of the ads together. It is important for the creatives to understand budget and media constraints before they begin. The creative strategy identifies the benefit to be presented to consumers, but it doesn't cover execution. How the benefits will be presented is the creative team's job. My ad campaign, the creative brief. Every agency has a slightly different twist on a creative brief. Common topics for the brief include who, which is the prospect, why, the specific wants or needs the ad should appeal to, and the what are the product features that can satisfy consumer needs. Also the where and when will the messages be transmitted, the style, approach, and tone. Leo Burnett keeps things even simpler for its largest client. Also the objective statement, which is what are you trying to do. Also a support statement or the evidence that backs up the promised benefit. And lastly, a tone or brand character statement, which is the emotional descriptions of the advertising strategy. Ogilvy includes these questions in the creative brief. First is, what are the communications objectives? Second is, what should consumers do differently and why? 3 is, how will messages affect consumer beliefs and actions? Fourth is, how are our competitors advertising? How can we make our ads different? Fifth is, who is the target audience and what is their shared need that the brand can fulfill? 6 is the demographics of the audience, but even more importantly, the shared attitudes. And lastly, the brand. How does the brand address the shared need? How should the brand experience, as defined by both planned and unplanned messages, be defined? What is the proposition or benefit? What evidence gives people a reason to believe in proposition? What is the personality of the brand, and how can the mood or tone of the ads be matched to the personality of the brand? So what is benefit statement? It describes what a product or service does to provide the benefit to the consumer. Whenever possible, benefit statement should focus on an important single-minded process. Next is the support statement. It provides information about the product or service that will convince the target audience that the key benefit is true. Next is brand personality, and it describes a brand in terms of human characteristics. And a significant component in effective branding is imparting personality to a brand reflecting its reputation, attitudes, and behavior. Next is the special requirements, which is a unique characteristics of the advertiser, brand, target audience, media, competition, budget, and etc. that should be considered during the creative development process. And lastly, the creative process, which is the step-by-step procedure used to discover original ideas and reorganize existing concepts in new ways. Elements of message strategy. From the information given by the account team in the creative strategy and any additional research it may perform, the creative team develops the message strategy. This may actually occur before, during, or after the creative process of searching for the big idea. The message strategy is a simple description and explanation of an ad campaign's overall creative approach, the main idea, details about how the idea will be executed, and rationale. The message strategy has three components, which is the verbal, non-verbal, and technical. For the verbal, guidelines for what the advertising should say, considerations that affect the choice of words, and the relationship of the copy approach to the medium or media that will carry the message. For the non-verbal, it is the overall nature of the ad's graphics and any visuals that must be used and the relationship of the graphics to the media in which the ad will appear. Lastly is the technical, which preferred execution approach and mechanical outcome. It includes budget and scheduling limitations, often governed by the media involved, and also any mandatory specific requirements for every ad that such as addresses, logos, and slogans. The verbal elements are the starting point for many advertising campaigns. However, because all these elements of the message strategy intertwine, they typically evolve simultaneously. Language affects imagery and vice versa. The message strategy helps the creative team sell the ad or the campaign concept to the account managers and help the managers explain and defend the creative work to the client. Of course, the message strategy must fit to the creative strategy or it will probably be rejected. In the development of the message strategy, certain basic questions need to be answered. How is the market segmented? How will the product be positioned? Who are the best prospects for the product? Is the target audience different from the target market, and etc. Now I want you to look at this advertisement. This is a great example of a message strategy. The simplicity, vibrant colors, and cleverness of a target's ads do more than a share message. They help to create brand personality and give consumers a reason to shop at the store, and the boom factor in this ad is Target encouraging and celebrating inclusion. The source of this advertisement is Target Brands Incorporation. Now, I want you to check yourself and answer these questions. First question is, what are the important parts of the creative strategy or the creative brief? Second is, what is the message strategy and what are its important parts?
How creativity enhances advertising. The powerful use of imagery, copy, and even humor in target campaigns demonstrates how creativity enhances advertising. But what is exactly creativity? What is the role of creativity in advertising? And where does creativity come from? Hi guys, I'm Maria Jane D. Abalya and I am going to discuss about creativity and its role. So when we are asked about creativity, we have a lot in our minds. Typically, though, creativity involves combining two or more previously unconnected objects or ideas into something new. As Voltaire said, originality is nothing but judicious imitation. So, creativity is the soul of advertising and branding. It is what gives life to messages about products and services that may otherwise be boring or insignificant in the hearts and minds of the target customers. So, what are the role of creativity in advertising? While creativity is important to advertising's basic mission of informing, persuading, and reminding, it is vital to achieving the boom factors. First, creativity helps advertising inform. Advertising's responsibility to inform is greatly enhanced by creativity. Good creative work makes advertising more vivid, a quality that many researchers believe attracts attention, maintains interest, and stimulates consumers' thinking. A common technique is to use plays on words and verbal or visual metaphors such as put a tiger in your tank, fly the friendly skies, or solutions for a smart planet. The metaphor describes one concept in terms of another, helping the reader or viewer learn about the product. Other creative techniques can also improve an ad's ability to inform. For example, visual cues such as lighting, pose of the model, setting, and clothing style can instantly signal viewers non-verbally whether a fashion ad reflects a romantic adventure or a sporting event. So the next thing is creativity helps advertising persuade. To motivate people to some action or attitude, advertising copywriters have created new myths and heroes like the Jolly Green Giant, the Gecko Gecko, and the Energizer Bunny. To be persuasive, an ad's verbal message must be reinforced by the creative use of non-verbal message elements. The artists use these elements, the color, layout, and illustration as the example to increase vividness. Research suggests that in print and digital media, infographics, the colorful explanatory charts, tables, and the like can raise readers' perception of quality. The artwork can also stimulate emotions. For example, when it comes to color, it often motivates consumers depending on their cultural background and personal experiences. Next, creativity helps advertising remind. Only creativity can transform your boring reminders into interesting, entertaining advertisements. Several commercials in a Nike campaign never mentioned the company name or even spelled it on the screen. The ads told story, and the only on-screen cue identifying the sponsor was the single, elongated swoosh logo inscribed on the final scene. A Nike spokesperson said the ads weren't risky, given the context that the Nike logo is so well known. We are entertained daily by creative ads for soft drinks, snacks, and cereals whose primary mission is simply to remind us to indulge again. So how creativity puts the boom in advertising? Successful comedy also has a boom factor, the punchline. It's that precise moment when the audience suddenly gets it and laughs out loud. Good punchlines come from taking an everyday situation, looking at it creatively, adding a bit of exaggeration, and then delivering it as a surprise. Great advertising often does the same thing. People whose preferred style of thinking is fact-based tend to fragment concepts into components and to analyze situation to discover the one best solution. They like logic, structure, and efficiency. In contrast, value-based thinkers make decisions based on intuition, values, and moral codes. Understanding creative thinking. Creativity is the generation, development, and transformation of ideas that are both novel and useful for solving problems. This is according to Glenn Griffin and Deborah Morrison, professors at the Universities of Alabama and Oregon, respectively. Their insightful book, The Creative Process Illustrated, suggests that many models of creative thought believe it is a process that generally follows 4 stages. Preparation, thinking about the problem and what is needed to solve it. Incubation, thought about the problem that occurs subconsciously. Next, the illumination, potential solutions that pop into awareness as a result of incubation. And last, verification, determining which solutions might work. Fact-based versus value-based thinking. Griffin and Morrison, like many creativity scholars, believe that all people have the potential to be creative. However, people often differ in their styles or preferred approaches to problem solving. People whose preferred style of thinking is fact-based tend to fragment concepts into components and to analyze situations to discover the one best solution. Although fact-based people can be creative, they tend to be linear thinkers and prefer to have facts and figures, hard data they can analyze and control. They are not comfortable with ambiguous situations. They like logic, structure, and efficiency. In contrast, value-based thinkers make decisions based on intuition, values, and moral codes. They are better able to embrace change, conflict, and paradox. This style fundamentally relies on melding concepts together. Value-based thinkers, for example, attempt to integrate the divergent ideas of a group into an arrangement that lets everyone win. They are good at using their imagination to produce a flow of new ideas and synthesizing existing concepts to create something new. How styles of thinking affect creativity? If the creative team prefers a value-based thinking style, it tends to produce ads such as those in the app stores and target campaigns soft, subtle, intuitive, and metaphorical. That's fine if the client also prefers that style of thinking. On the other hand, clients who prefer a fact-based style often seek agencies that produce practical, hard-edged work characterized by simple, straightforward layouts, rational appeals, and lots of data. A fact-based client may even find a value-based campaign to be unsettling. The creative team needs to understand the campaign's target audience. In some market segments, high-tech, for example, customers may favor messages that result from one style of thinking over another, and that should dictate which approach to use. When we say fact-based thinking, it tends to fragment concepts into components and to analyze situations to discover the one best solution, while the value-based thinking is the decisions that are based on intuition, values, and ethical judgment. The advertising messages comprising what the company plans to say in its advertisements and how it plans to say it verbally or non-verbally. The explorer searches for new information, paying attention to unusual patterns.
Good evening, everyone. I am Laikumi Chicago, and in here, we will be defining the 4 roles that people play at different stages of the creative process. But first, let's talk about the creative process. The creative process is a method or the step-by-step procedure used to generate new and original ideas or to reorganize existing ones into a unique way. So, dito na-involve ang step-by-step procedure na kung saan ay nakakatulong ito sa mga individuals to uncover possibilities, link concepts, and select winning ideas. So, dito, basically dito sa advertising, ang creative process daw is a collaborative activity na kung saan ang mga creatives or tao is nag-work sila together para maka-generate ng ideas that are valued by the client. And creativity consultant Roger Von Ack developed a 4-step creativity model that is widely used by Fortune 100 companies. It includes 4 distinct roles that every art director and copywriter should take on during the creative process. And here are the 4 distinct roles, which are the explorer role, who searches for new information and paying attention to unusual patterns. 2 is the artist, who experiments and play with a variety of approaches, who is looking for an original idea. And 3 is the judge. The judge evaluates the result of the experimentation and decides which approach is most practical. 4 is the warrior. The warrior that overcomes obstacles to bring the creative concept to life. Explorer role, and we will first talk about the explorer role, who gathers information to in-depth your knowledge more about this role. And in the explorer role, the copywriters and art directors are the one who is responsible for creating advertising messages, but before they can do that, they need to gather raw materials for ideas, and this is where the explorer role comes in. The explorer role involves examining the information and seeking additional input from various sources to create a solid foundation for the creative process, na kung saan nare-review nila yung mga creative strategy, marketing, and advertising plan kasama na dito ang market, product, pati na rin ang competition. So, kapag nakadevelop na ang creative team ng ads for target, doon na papasok ang explorer role. They will speak with the company about sa products, marketing history, competitors, kasama na rin ang mga advertising competitors nila. They will review all of the appropriate source of advertising for retail stores and study the company's marketing environment. Explorers will carefully study the creative brief prepared for them by the researchers, account planners, and account managers. And let's also tackle about develop an insight outlook. Dito naman sa insight outlook that Von Eck suggests adopting an insight outlook, which means a conviction that good information is available and that you have the skills to find and use it. Dito papasok ang quote na if you're curious and poke around in new areas, you'll improve your chances of discovering new ideas. Ideas are everywhere. Andyan ang museum, art gallery, kahit pa ang hardware store, airport, at marami pang iba. Which means in Insight Outlook, to gain inspiration for new ideas, explorers need to get off the beaten path and look in new and uncommon places for information. Target's agency creatives spent hours watching women shop at Target store for inspiration, adopting an Insight Outlook, which is a conviction that good information is available and that you have the skills to find and use it. It is essential. So explorers need to be curious and poke around in new areas, which increase their chances of discovering new ideas. Ideas are everywhere, and the more diverse the sources, the greater the chance of uncovering an original concept. Next is know the objectives. Philosopher John Dewey said, "A half problem well stated is a problem half solved." This is why the creative strategy is so important, because it helps define what the creatives are looking for. The creatives typically start working on the messages strategy during the explorer stage because it helps them define what they're looking for. And in brainstorming, the explorers look for lots of ideas during the creative process. This is one of the techniques for generating new ideas because in brainstorming, a process in which two or more people team up to generate new ideas. All ideas are written down for later review, and all ideas are above criticism, meaning no idea is wrong. The goal is to record any inspiration that comes to mind, allowing each new idea an opportunity to stimulate another. And in conclusion, the explorer role is an essential part of the creative process in advertising. To create successful advertising messages, creatives need to gather raw materials for ideas and examine information from various sources. By adopting an insight outlook and brainstorming new ideas, Explorer can create unique and original advertising concepts. Thank you for listening for the Explorer role. And second is the artist role. The artist, or the role of the artist in developing and implementing the big idea in advertising, the artist plays a crucial role in the creative process by experimenting and playing with various approaches to finding an original idea that can bring the subject to life and make the audience stop, look, and listen. And here are the tasks. Task 1 is develop the big idea. Ang first major task ng artist is to develop big ideas. These steps involves reviewing the artist sa lahat ng information na magagather during the exploration phase, analyzing the problem, and searching para sa key verbal or visual concept na may kayang mag-communicate ng messages effectively. Itong mga steps na ito is also known as the visualization or conceptualization, and dito nangyayari ang pagsusearch for the big ideas, in which ang big ideas is considered as bold, creative initiative na makakapagpabuild sa strategy na nagko-connect sa product benefits with the consumer na mayroong desire sa fresh, involving way and makakapagpa-attract sa attention ng audience. And here is the big question about what is the difference between strategy and big idea. It's important to note the difference between strategy and big idea. The strategy describes the direction the message should take, while the big idea is someone who gives it life. For example, a brand strategy for Target could be to offer consumers selection and value typical of a mass merchandiser in a setting that has the elegance and flair of a department store. But a big idea headlines that convey the same strategy concept is much more effective in creating interest, memorability, and drama. For example, of the big ideas is this image by Globetrotter. At first, we will only see a seal into their skin, but if you look closely, there's a camper snug into sleeping bag. Some images make the point so well that they require no words. It's amazing how much they look alike. And there is a big idea here. Target could have used that strategy statement as a headline, pero they decided not to because it would have been dreadfully dull. It lacks what a big idea headline delivers, which is a set of multiple meanings that create interest, memorability, and in some cases, drama. Kung saan gumawa na lamang ang Target ng short but punch headline na expect more, pay less. John O'Toole said, while strategy requires deduction, a big idea requires inspiration. The big ideas in advertising is almost invariably expressed through a combination of art and copy, na kung saan ang approach na ginawa ng Target is to use a short but witty copy, ang immediately recognizable red Target logo, to visually communicate the essence of the brand. Target could have saved money and used much less creativity in its advertising, rather than using striking and colorful graphics and layouts. Pwedeng mag-focus na lamang sila para ma-emphasize ang facts and information, pero this approach will reduce yung bomb factor, and ang end up is pwedeng ma-ignore or ma-itsapwera sila ng mga target audience nila. And the other examples of big ideas are some well-known big ideas in advertising include the Just Do It by Nike, Think Small by Volkswagen, It's Finger Licking Good by KFC, and The Happiest Place on Earth by Disneyland. These big ideas capture the essence of the brand in an imaginative and involving way that resonate with the target audience. Next is the transforming a concept or do something to it. The creative ideas come from manipulating and transforming resources according to Van Eyck. Developing the role of an artist involves taking the materials we've collected and giving them value. This requires changing patterns and experimenting with various approaches. And in this report, we will explore 6 ways as an artist can experiment to produce something fresh and creative. First is the adapt. This involves changing context and thinking about what else a product might be besides the obvious. Second is the imagine. This involves letting your imagination fly and asking, what if? Third is reverse. This involves looking at something backward. Sometimes the opposite of what you expect has great impact and memorability. Fourth is connect. This involves joining 2 unrelated ideas together. Fifth is compare. This involves taking one idea and using it to describe another. And lastly is eliminate. This involves the subtracting something And in advertising, there's a little virtue in doing things the way they've always been done. Next is the blocks to creativity. The topic is about the blocks to creativity that people experience. These blocks can be caused by factors such as information overload, stress, fear, and insecurity. Additionally, the style of thinking used can also hinder creativity. For example, if an agency becomes too focused on facts and figures, they may struggle to shift to a more value-based style of thinking. Another issue is when an agency starts to think like the client, particularly if the client is a fact-based thinker, which can harm the agency's creative reputation. Creative fatigues can also occur after an agency has worked with an account for a long time and all fresh ideas have been exhausted. When this happens, the only solution may be to appoint a new creative team or to resign the account. And lastly, task 1 is incubating a concept or do nothing to it. Sometimes, or kapag ang mga creatives are faced with a problem, they said na mas better if you would take a break and letting the unconscious mind work on it. Kasi this allows the brain para magpahinga and para makakuha ng mga bagong perspectives na magre-result sa future better ideas. And that is what you call incubating process. This has several benefits. Kasama na dito ang letting the problem rest in subconscious and allowing new assumptions to arise. Art direction, which involves determining how verbal and visual symbols fit together in an advertisement. This plays a key role in the overall visual presentation to the ads. And next is let's talk about the task 2, which is to implement the big idea. The implementation of the big idea is a crucial step in advertising. It involves writing the precise words and designing the layout to shape the message into a complete communication that appeals to the senses and the mind. Art direction manages the visual presentation of the commercial or ad, while art refers to the whole presentation, both visual and verbal. Artistic elements and tools are selected and used to enhance the ad's message, including the style and choice of photography and illustration. The blend of writing, visuals, and sounds makes up an ad's expressive character. In advertising, the balanced proportion and movements are used to unite words, messages, images, types, sounds, and colors into a single communication.
Hi, my name is Jana Islam presenting ethical issue to sex appeal. It's one of the most blatant uses of sex in advertising in recent memory. A billboard features a young woman holding a grease gun cartridge in each hand and leaning over to exhibit an ample amount of cleavage. The headline reads, "This is Debbie. She wants you to have this pair in your car." The ad is for auto parts, but the implication seems to be that if you buy this manufacturer's auto parts, you get Debbie in the bargain. Nothing in the ad says so explicitly, but the innuendo is all that required to capture the viewer's attention. What does all this have to do with sex in advertising? The purpose of advertising is to convince people that products are used to them in one way or another. If people agree, they will buy them. However, advertising must do its job very quickly and doesn't have the time or the space to go into detail or explanations. For many products, it is possible to find or invent a sexual connection. However, the sexual connection is much easier to set up for men than for women. Remember that men have minimal criteria for sexual desire. Basically, they are concerned with the human anatomy as long as a woman looks young enough and healthy. She is desirable. Men also consider her beautiful, since to a male beautiful and sexually attractive are virtually synonymous. In general, most ads with sexual appeals don't meet the criteria for most obscenity, but they may still be considered indecent. Since indecent is in the eyes of the beholder, if enough people believe sexually oriented material is indecent, then community standards reflect this belief. In such cases, citizen pressure groups along with media organizations and local courts can enforce community standards by disallowing advertising that offends those standards. Consider Abercrombie and Fitch, the clothing retailer, sparked controversy at a mall in Omaha when its widow posters featured a topless model covering her breasts with her hands. A Christian group, Family First, quickly objected, claiming that Abercrombie's posters created a sexualized walkaway. Family First began pressuring shoppers and the other retailers in the mall to object to the photographs, and within 9 days, the window displays were changed. Were the posters obscene or indecent? Advertisers like A&F, who continued to strive for the sexy appeal, are beginning to find it increasingly difficult to draw the line between simple sex appeal and unethical exploitation. Thus, in advertising, it is easy to get a man's attention by using women's body and associate getting the women if he buys the product. It is playing on his instinctive rather than intellectual view of the world. The ad spends no time discussing her qualification for sexual desire. Her mere existence is enough. The use of sex in advertising to women is a much more difficult proposition. Although they do have an instinctive sexual reaction, their intelligence strongly affects it at the same time. The use of healthy fit men may indeed attract their attention and create desire, but their willingness to engage in intercourse is rarely aroused strictly because of a man's body. For women, sexual desire is a complex mixture of factors, most of which are extremely difficult to inject into an ad in the time and space available. A man's physical appearance plays a role, suggesting health and strength, but her instinctive concern is the long run, not the short term. She must see that he is capable not only of sexual activity, but can father healthy children, support and nurture her during pregnancy and birth, and herself and the child after birth, thus assured that the child will be better off than any competition it might have. Many of these factors are also learned in the culture and society. Money, power, prestige, etc. are factors that culture defines as extremely valuable, although rarely placed in the context of being valuable to future children. The woman learns their importance and adds them to her criteria for male sexual desirability. Again, please note that she rarely consciously considers these factors when selecting which man to examine for his stability as male. She will though often consciously consider them when deciding whether or not to have sex with him. There is no easy solution to this dilemma, especially since research shows that sexual appeals can be very effective when sexuality relates to the product. However, when it doesn't, it can distract audience from the main message and severely demean the advertiser in the consumer's eyes. Many argue that sexually oriented advertising is not only a distraction but also a source of negative externalities. The social cost to consumers outside the target market, such as children who might be directly affected. Advertisers must examine on a case-by-case basis. At what point, sexual appeals become unethical and therefore counterproductive. In one case, an executive on the Valvoline advertising account justified using girly calendars for mechanics by noting that the calendar may offend some groups, but they aren't our customers.